Hi, my name is Haley McGrew, and this is my final presentation on tradition and education in the Alaska Native system. Alaska Natives have strong traditions that connect them to the land that provides their way of life, that connects them to their traditions and values. We can see Alaska Native traditions present in how the elders teach the younger generation the legends that connect them to their ancestors. However, when English missionaries and Western ideology entered Alaska, it was the Alaska Native traditions that were lost or forgotten. English missionaries and Western ideology in the Alaskan Territory, there was really only one goal, which was the formal education of Alaska Natives. One way this was accomplished was by establishing boarding schools, and for generations since, Alaska Native children were sent to boarding schools either inside or outside of Alaska education. There were some positive effects of boarding school, which was the high expectations with support from the staff at the boarding schools to meet these high expectations, as well as extracurricular activities, as well as friendships that were made at boarding school. However, there are some alarming negative effects to boarding school, which was the sexual and physical abuse of the students in attendance, as well as the highest suicidal rate among students in boarding school as well as post-boarding school. This has been a debate ongoing for generations as whether or not boarding schools should be allowed or should finally be closed down. Post-boarding school, many Alaska Natives feel that there is a loss of language and a loss of identity as well as a need to heal, for they are not speaking their language while they are there, and they feel they do not connect as they used to. A healing process to reconnect and relearn their traditions. One way some individuals go about connecting and relearning was to study their language and art, as well as speaking about the loss they felt without their traditions and values. And a quote from someone who went through the healing process was, "I think people need to talk about it. For my own healing, I had to talk about it. I had to say, hey, this really happened to us. You can't deny it. It did happen to us. We were taken away from our parents. We were sent to a boarding school. Some of us just not for 1 year, but for quite a number of years." This quote really stuck out to me because just learning about the process and about what went on at the boarding schools, you could see the negative effect was still there and still present, and it still left a bad aftertaste or a negative effect with some people. So for someone to find closure or healing with this by talking about it speaks numerous volumes about just like how bad and awful it was for them. Another way to heal was an individual who paralleled his life story with the Eagle-Wolf dance Tuluk's journey. And this story or legend is how human beings did not know how to sing, dance, and feast, and how they were taught singing and dancing and feasting promote health and well-being. And it starts with the hunter Tulak that kills the giant eagle, and how the giant eagle's mother mourned for her son. In a response to her son's death, she goes to the hunter Tuluk and she tells him, "You will not be allowed to return to your village until you have learned from what the spirits have to teach him." What the spirits taught him was the ceremony feast, which was to sing, to dance, and to feast and pay respect to those who have fallen. So along his journey, he is met by spirit people, and he is taught their dances, their singing, and their feasting. And he may not return to his village until he has learned them all completely, and he has learned them the right way without any missteps. Once he returns to his village, he immediately tells his villagers all that he learned, and he begins teaching them the ways the spirits taught him. Once everybody has completed what they know, he sent out his best runners to other villages, so that they may also learn. Once everyone had learned the dance, the singing, and the feasting, they all came together to pay respect to the giant eagle and to nature. And once the giant eagle's mother saw that they are paying respect, she became at peace. This legend speaks that through dance and through tradition, you can find peace in a loss. And the parallel story was finding a lost identity he did not know that he did not have. So it's finding closure in oneself through ancestor traditions. And one thing is that elders teach the younger generation is the values. Um, Values such as the one to the right, because this is a part of their traditions that need to be preserved. They teach of the ancestors that were strong in their bodies because of their hard work and on the land, and they were strong in spirit because of the beliefs and rituals. And one value that stuck out to me the most was care for the family is essential for nurturing well-being and inner harmony. Our Nutmeg culture protocols all older family members share first during dance parties. This also recognized their role as teachers and mentors to younger group members. This signifies that the elders will always teach the younger generation, and in return, the younger generation will look after them and protect them. It can be hard for the younger generation when they are in schools, either at boarding school or in public schools, because they are not connected to their traditions, because they are not represented in the classroom. Times have changed, however, and classrooms are more open and diverse. One way Alaska combats this is through the Alaska Standards culture. And there are 5 main ones, which is to culturally acknowledgeable students are well grounded in culture and heritage and tradition in their community. So it's basically having them tell about their stories. Even if they're not Alaska natives, it's having them bring their own story to the classroom. One way teachers can do this is by doing family trees and letting a student talk about their family trees. Another standard is to culturally acknowledgeable students can build on the knowledge and skills of local culture community as foundations from which to achieve personal and academic success throughout life. So this is basically recognizing their traditions and what it has to offer, and then applying them in real situations. Some other AK standards are to culturally acknowledgeable students can actively participate in various culture environments, and this can be either from learning dances from elders and then displaying them in class, or having a more hands-on approach, which is one that I saw when I was doing an observation at College Gate Elementary here in Anchorage, which was elders teaching students how to clean salmon and then how to properly cook them. And then another was to culturally acknowledgeable students can engage effectively in learning activities that are based on traditional ways of knowing and learning. So one way this can be brought into the classroom is having elders come in and share stories with the children and have the children pay respect to the elders by listening in return. Another AK standard is to culturally acknowledgeable students can demonstrate awareness and appreciation of the relationship and process of interactions of all elements in the world around them. So one way this is brought into the classroom is to allow their language to be spoken into the classroom, to allow them to speak their language, as well as like to speak with elders and have them in the classrooms and have them just around, so that students are more well-grounded and they feel a connection to their traditions. Education is a major part of our society. It allows us to secure a job or be promoted in a workforce, or even further our knowledge of the world around us and give us a new sight or a new topic or a new perspective. It can leave individuals with a sense of loss of their heritage when this cannot happen. However, with open communication that does not breed judgment or stereotype, there can be coexistence between education and tradition in the classroom, and that is my belief. And this is also the end of my presentation, so I would like to thank you all for sticking out with me and for also allowing this to happen, and I had a great semester with all of you. Goodbye!